Would you like to spend your entire Saturday doing nothing else but sitting your butt on the couch and watching college football? Yeah, I would. If you said yes, and I do believe that everyone watching this said yes, we all have one major problem. That pesky honey-do list. Well, boy, do I have a product for you today. The new Wife Away spray. Just give her 1 or 2 sprays and she'll go away.
Honey, are you watching football again? You know that the dishes need to be done, the trash needs to be taken out, my car won't start,
Wow, thanks, Wife Away. This legendary product is gonna sell out fast, so make sure that you call 1-800-668-7325. That's 1-800-668-7325. 1-800-668-7325. 1-800-668-7325. This spray has not been tested by the FDA, but our test subjects only experienced minor discomfort and side effects. But wait, there's more. Order in the next 10 minutes and 30 seconds and you will receive a bottle of our experimental Insta Beer formula.
Really? College football on my birthday? Yes, honey, would you like a beer?
But wait again, there's even more. Order in the next 5 minutes and 30 seconds and you will receive not 1 bottle of Wife Away, but 24 for the price of 1. And for the ladies out there, because we know some of you are college football fans as well, introducing a lilac and lavender infused lotion, Husband Away. Just 1 or 2 squirts, rub it in, put it on your body, and it's sure to keep your husband at bay on game day. I don't even want to be around myself right now. Once again, that phone number is 1-800-668-7325. 1-800-668-7325. 1-800-668-7325. What's going on, Canes fans? College football is officially back, and I could not be more excited. Well, I mean, technically, it was officially back last week. There were a few teams playing that nobody really cares about, but that changes this week because the Miami Hurricanes will be facing off against the Florida Gators in the Swamp. But before we dive into this matchup, did any of you happen to see my Florida Gators diss track? I posted it a few days ago, and I really tried hard to do something different from my usual stuff. Now, I understand that the diss tracks aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I can promise you they're not going anywhere. I've been posting them every single year for the last 8 years now, so you might as well just go ahead and get used to it. So if you don't mind, if you could check it out if you haven't already. If you have, maybe watch it again and leave a comment on it. Leave a like or a dislike. If you don't like them, that's perfectly fine. Dislike it. Just some sort of interaction on that video. I would love to see more trash talk on it. There's only a handful of Florida Gator fans, and I want Miami fans to fire back at that fan base. I'm trying to rile the fan bases up and get you guys arguing and talking. So I'll put it in my pinned comment down below, and definitely check it out and let me know what you think. And I'm going to go set this thing down because I'm being 100% serious. It literally stinks. And lastly, before we get to the good stuff, hit that subscribe button and join the college football family here on YouTube if you haven't already. We're doing a live call-in show on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you call in and predict the correct score for the game, you win $100. No strings attached, no catches, no gimmicks, no nothing. And we do that every single Friday, and every week that no one gets the correct score, the prize continues to grow. So where do we even start for this game? It's year 3 for both of these head coaches, and the fans want results. Actually, they're demanding results.
But I want it now!
Mario Cristobal went 7-6 last season, and Billy 5-7. Massive disappointment for both fan bases, to say the least. The Gators have quarterback Graham Mertz, who is going into his second season with Florida, and he actually might be the most efficient QB that Miami's defense will see all season. And trust me, it pains me to say that, but right now at the time of filming this video, it's the truth. He finished 2023 ranked 3rd in the country in completion percentage at 72.9%, but Florida's offense was far from explosive last season, and Mertz's average depth of target was only 6.7 yards past the line of scrimmage, and those short throws accounted for roughly 63% of his passes in 2023. Now, the exception to all of this was actually mostly on first downs, where the majority of his stats were compiled. I'm sure you can piece together what I'm getting at here. Now, Miami has a new quarterback this season with Cam Ward, and most Canes fans will agree that this is both an advantage and an upgrade after dealing with Tyler Van Dyke last season. But some Florida fans will argue that they have a slight edge here, with it being Ward's first and only season in this offense. But I don't think it's super important here to discuss a lot of his stats going into this game because they came from a different team. I'm going to be just blunt and transparent here. I'm not running from the interceptions or the fumbles that he had with his previous team, but this is a totally different offense. This is a different team altogether, different supporting cast. And even though sometimes you can carry over, some tendencies, Canes fans would like to believe that with a good, solid O-line and a plentiful amount of weapons on the outside and some good running backs that, those issues that he had are going to go away. Will they? We'll see in the 2024 season. But with Mertz, it's different when we throw out stats because he was at Florida last year. It is his second year in this offense. And while a few of the players may have changed, it's still very similar to where he was last year. With Ward, this is a totally different scenario. I would say that outside of the quarterbacks, the other matchup both sides will be keeping an eye on is Florida's O-line versus Miami's D-line. The Gators O-line was an issue in 2023, allowing an average of 7 tackles for loss and 3 sacks per game. Now, they did bring in a 6'7", 322-pound offensive tackle, but for the rest of the O-line, they're banking on player development. With that being said, most would agree that Miami's biggest strength going into the season should be the D-line. It's just an all-around nasty group, and I'm talking about the good kind of nasty here.
Weird, buddy.
Bain, Barron, Mesidor, Alston, Barrow, Clark, Cook, and I could go on and on. Trust me, I could. It does look like that, at least on paper, Florida will have to rely on that short, quick passing game because Mertz might not survive otherwise. Now, last I heard, the Gators senior transfer running back Montrell Johnson is week to week after his small knee operation, so I'm not sure if he will see the field against Miami, but I can confirm that Mario Cristobal stated that running back Mark Fletcher will be ready for this game. But let's take a quick look at the history between these two teams. Miami and Florida have faced off 56 times in total, with the Canes leading that series 29-27. The most recent game was in 2019, and Florida won that one 24-20. Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a bit of a numbers guy. I love talking stats, and this is usually where I would show average stats so far this season for both of the teams, but it's literally game one. And as I already said, I don't want to focus too much on the stats from last season. We'll bring them up occasionally, but it's not really a focal point in this preview video because both sides are, we're looking ahead, right? So what I'll do instead is I'll just hit you with 4 team stats that I found a bit interesting. Miami has won 4 of their last 5 games against non-conference opponents. Florida has lost 12 of their last 15 games against ranked teams, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. I didn't realize that it was that many. Miami has covered the spread in their last 3 season openers as a favorite. Key phrase there, as a favorite. And Florida has failed to cover the spread in 13 of their last 16 games against non-conference opponents. So let's go ahead and jump on over to 3 keys to a victory for both teams. And I'll go ahead and kick it off with Miami. Coming in at number 1, be aggressive. Attack, attack, attack. I expect Miami to run the ball a lot, and they should, and they will be able to. But Florida's pass defense gave up a large amount of deep balls last season, and I don't think that that's going to change much this season. Now, even though a lot of it is because they got manhandled, we saw what happened to Florida State last week. Miami has playmakers on the outside. Foot on the gas. The Florida State reference was because a lot of people felt like they played, maybe a bit conservative, a bit timid, a bit scared. We need Dawson to trust Ward, let him go out there and do his thing. Number 2, try to jump out to an early lead. This is for 2 very important reasons. Number 1, if Florida goes with the same approach as last season with Mertz, it would be very difficult for them to play catch-up if Miami can limit the yak. And second, it's the swamp, and nobody wants to play from behind there ever. So let's never get behind. Jump out to a lead and keep it. And lastly, I hate using this one sometimes, but it's so important that Miami doesn't overthink this one. There is an insane amount of pressure on the players and the coaches this season. Miami has all of the tools to compete with Florida. So just go out there, play ball, and take care of business. Next up is 3 keys to a victory for Florida. And coming in at number 1, the Gators need to come in with an aggressive game plan on defense. Your pass rush was one of the worst in the SEC in 2023. And on top of that, you lost your best edge rusher to the portal. Now, Billy did hire a new D-line coach, and those guys up front will have to be disruptive. Miami has a lot of playmakers, and if the Gators D thinks they can sit back and play it safe and conservative, Miami will hit some guys out in space, and they will make a play. Number 2, Florida should throw the ball often early in the game and test Miami's secondary. I think that they can be good. I'm talking about Miami's secondary here. But there are a few guys that are untested specifically with this team and in this defense at Miami. Basically, feel it out early and see if they are going to show up or if you can exploit them all game. And lastly, I think you need something big to happen for you on special teams, because it was a bit of a sore spot for Florida in 2023. Maybe a big field goal to give you the lead, or a long punt return that breathes new life into the crowd. Just something to provide a spark with a group that struggled last season. All right. Now it is time for the most controversial but also exciting part of the video, my score prediction. Now, I do want to let you know, hey, listen, I'm not big on bragging or boasting, but last season, if you go back and look at my score predictions, I was rarely off by more than a combined 7 to 10 points with pretty much all of them. There were very few exceptions last season, very few games that caught me by surprise, I guess you could say. So can the close score predictions continue in 2024? Now, it is tough because this is game 1, which is obviously going to be super unpredictable. And it's also just tough to predict Miami games, period, let alone the first game of the season, because everything is on paper and all you know is your team playing your team in spring and fall camp. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the pressure on my dog Max first and introduce you to a new segment in these videos called Max Picks. Now, my wife and I adopted this dog several months ago. He's a Staffy Bully mix. And I did go ahead and kind of test run this segment in my Georgia Tech versus Florida State preview. And I'm just going to come on here and tell you, I picked Florida State to win that game. Max picked Georgia Tech. So this isn't, that wasn't Miami, right? You know, that's not who I eat, sleep, and breathe. But he's 1-0, and technically I'm 0-1. He is, however, going to eat out of both bowls. 100% guaranteed. This dog loves his treats. So it's whichever bowl he eats out of first. So let's go see if he's ready. So here we go. It's time for Max's official decision, and it's Miami. Let's go. So there you have it. Max says that it will be the Canes, and those bowls are the same distance away, and they both had one treat in them, but his gut is telling him Miami. So we'll see. Now, I do have my magic numbers in mind, but I always like to mention the ESPN matchup predictor first. And at the time of filming this video, they give Miami a 42.5% chance of winning and Florida a 57.5%. Now, what's interesting here, however, is when you take a look at FanDuel, Miami is a 2.5-point favorite. So I think that they're giving the Swamp a lot of power, and understandably so. There are teams that have played Florida in the Swamp that I do believe were the better team, and they still walked away with an L. Man, I'm telling you guys, it is one of the hardest jobs in the world to predict a Miami Hurricanes game. It's hard enough to predict win or loss, let alone actual numbers. I'm going to give the Miami Hurricanes, and yes, I'm locking this in. I know I'm sighing a lot. I'm stalling. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm locking it in, and I'm standing on it. I'm giving the Miami Hurricanes 27. And the Florida Gators 21. That's right. I've got the Miami Hurricanes getting a W in the Swamp and starting the season 1-0. And you got to remember, look, you can hate all you want as a Florida fan watching this. I am typically very objective in my preview videos. I throw fandom out the window as best I can. Of course, it's going to creep in here and there. We're going to take a little shots, but I predicted plenty of Miami losses and had my own fellow fan base attacking me. But I believe in this game. I do. I firmly believe that Miami is the better team. And as long as Miami's offense isn't trying to get it together and figure things out game one in the Swamp, because they need to be clicking early, I don't think that Florida's defense is good enough to win them the game. And the Swamp alone is not enough to win you the game. It will be loud. It will be a factor. But the fans don't play down there on the field. Again, that in and of itself is not enough to win you this football game. And I contemplated, I'm gonna be fully transparent here. I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt. I contemplated picking Miami to win by somewhere between 10 to 13 points. I really did. But I'm deciding to stay somewhat conservative here until I actually see the team play a real game. Again, everything right now is on paper, and we saw that in the Florida State versus Georgia Tech. A lot of Seminole fans are going to think that I'm taking shots at them, and that's not the case. It's all off-season hype and talk. We will find out on Saturday what this Miami Hurricanes team is actually about, not just what somebody says they're about, that saw a practice or talked to somebody that knows somebody. We're actually going to see them face off against another opponent, an SEC opponent in their house. And I'm telling you, Miami will walk away victorious. Put the mortgage on it. Get out a loan, get out a title loan on the car. Put that money on the Canes. Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to start 2024 undefeated. Drop your score predictions down below. If you don't do score predictions, give me a W or an L. Let's fire up the trash talk. Check out the diss track. Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Call into the show. Miami fans, Florida fans, fan of any team, it doesn't matter. You are all welcome to jump in and enter that score prediction contest. Literally, you call in and can talk to me for less than 10 seconds and win $100. It's insane. I don't know why anyone would not do it. Or you can call in and we can chat back and forth, banter, trash talk, all that stuff. This Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you're subscribed. Jump in. I don't know that I've ever been more confident in anything in my entire life. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.
Really? College football on my birthday? Yes, honey, shoot, I forgot the girl voice. Be a girl!